Hi guys, welcome back to Conversations with Debbie. So pardon my lightning. I'm trying to make do with what I have. The weather has not been the best and busy mom life. As you can see, I'm outside, so I'm trying to make use of, there are no ideal times to make content, so I have to make use of what I do have. So I hope that you can be forgiving of my non-aesthetically pleasing background and video and just pay attention to the message. Thank you. So, the other day, I was scrolling through social media and I came across another argument. There's always one argument or the other on social media. But this one piqued my interest. And it was about ambitious women who were dragging or who are dragging women who choose to be housewives or who choose not to do something more aspirational with their lives. And it got me thinking, and that is what I want to discuss in this video. In this day of social media where anyone could literally open up their phone cameras as I'm doing right now and air their opinions and post it, and millions of people can listen to said opinions and maybe agree with it, I think that we have maybe unknowingly started treating personal preferences like universal truths. I think that we no longer draw the line between what you prefer your life to look like, your personal life vision, with what everybody else should be doing. It's now like, I wouldn't do that. It's now like, nobody should do that. It's now like, oh, it didn't work out for me. I know one or two persons that it didn't work out for. Oh, it doesn't work out for anybody. We're now beginning to forget that realities differ. And also, personality differs. And personality influences preferences. We are now beginning to forget that there is no one size fits all to a good life. That there is no one direction that a good life should go. We are now beginning to forget that our differences makes up the spice of life. Our different preferences, our different personality traits, our different life choices put together is what makes life interesting. The truth is that we all don't have the same ambitions. Success means different things to all of us. I'll go home with that explanation. For somebody who grew up in a home where food was never an issue, education was never an issue, new clothes were never an issue, making their hair was never an issue, buying textbooks was never an issue, training their children in school is not their definition of success. Maybe for them, success might mean building a business that is bigger than what their father or their mother built. But for someone who came from a family where feeding 3 times a day was a major challenge, don't you think that what they see success as would be different from you? And does that make them less exposed? Some people dream of building companies. Some people dream of being having international audience for their business, for their brands. Some people are homemakers. Some people dream of just feeding their family, putting a roof over their head. Some people are sleeping under the bridge and dreaming of a day when they will be able to put a decent roof over their family's head, have a house, have a family of their own, and put a decent roof, not the most fancy or latest building, a decent roof over their head. Give them a decent life and that will be their dream come true. Some people do not want families. Some people want both. None is more valid than the other. None of these options makes any one person automatically wiser than the next person. See, one thing is that the internet never sees the full picture. You that you sit in your house and you're making judgments of how another woman chooses to live her life and run her life and her life decisions. There's something that I need you to understand. You definitely cannot see the full picture. You definitely are not privy to see all of the options that she had to choose from. You definitely wouldn't be doing better in as much as you think so. If you would be doing better if you were in her shoes, you should be doing better with your own life choices than you're already doing. But no, here you are, right? Striving for more because you're not there yet. And yet you have the time to figure out someone else's life choices and what they've chosen their own lives to look like. I will use the housewife scenario for instance. What it looks like from the outside to many people and what it may be for a lot of people may be that she totally depends on her husband for income. She has no money of her own. She has no backup plan. She's just a total financial burden and a financial disaster waiting to happen. She has no plan and her life is a total waste. That may be true for some other person, some other housewife that you know. But that may not be true for all of the housewives that you know. Some of these people run businesses from home, yes. And though you may think that, oh, it's a lie, it's not working, it doesn't mean it doesn't work for other people. See, there's something, I had a friend when I was growing up and there's something he used to say and I adopted that statement. You can choose to believe whatever it is you want to believe as your truth. It doesn't change the reality of what it is for me. And then I'll bring it to that statement. The fact that you choose not to believe that, you see this whole housewife scenario, it doesn't play out the same for some people are housewives, in quote, but they are directors in their husband's companies and they attend all the board of directors meetings and they make major decisions for the company. They are aware of everything that is going on. People come to the house to give them reports. They don't need to dress up every day like you who probably chooses that life or doesn't have a choice yet. And this is not to be spiteful to anybody. This is just to alert us of a different kind of reality that exists. I'm sure you are aware that realities differ. There are alternate realities. The fact that it plays out one way for someone you know does not mean that is how it plays out for everybody. Once you see somebody say, that's a very myopic way of going through life. That is you limiting your life experiences because you confine yourself to just the experiences you've had and you blatantly refuse to acknowledge the fact that it could always play out differently. That woman you are seeing there could have investments that are long, that produce long money that you have no idea about. Because the problem is you people think because you come outside and you play, you throw everything you're doing, show it, I'm doing this for approval. You think everybody does the same thing like you. You think everybody announces everything that they're about so you can know what and you can figure them out completely. No. And this is just an example. As other examples, there are a multitude of examples that I could draw from at this point. But the truth is that the internet, you that is sitting down there thinking that your own life choice is the only way about it, there are so many things that you don't know about. There are so many sides to it that you cannot see. And that is why your own preferred mode of living your life is not the only way. And you going about life with that myopic mindset is you purposely depriving yourself from having a complete experience of your life journey. Because what we do is, we see one picture, and then we write an entire biography. I know. Life is not Nollywood. It doesn't always go the way you predict. Leave room for other nuances, other options, other things that happens that doesn't look like what you've already experienced. And you know the truth, every life path has a trade-off. Something has to give. Career women, they have things that they trade off. Housewives, they have things that they trade off. Business owners, they have things they trade off. Employees, they have trade-offs for being employees, for choosing that path. So stop acting like, there's any life path that one chooses to get, or one chooses to go by, that doesn't have a trade-off, that doesn't have risks, that doesn't have things that you would lose. The truth is that nobody has it all. Nobody gets it all. You can't have it all, at least not at once. There are always trade-offs. Something has to give. So stop acting like, the fact that I chose this life is the only way to go about it. That is you being foolishly, ignorantly arrogant. Unnecessarily arrogant. Because whatever choice you choose to make in this life, there's always a trade-off. And the same way that housewife is trading off something, is the same way the career woman is trading off something. This reminds me of when I left my job. A lot of people thought they knew my why. Some people thought I wanted to just resign so that I can now rely on my husband for financial support, because I want to be a Unyodogun, a kept wife. Some people thought I resigned because I wanted to, focus and have more time to take care of my child. Some people thought I was just making an emotional, rash decision that I was bound to regret at some point in life. The only people who knew or who were privy to the full picture and the entire reason and the entire motivation behind that decision was myself, my husband, and maybe a few persons. On the outside, people could see my gold-plated life that looked like, my career trajectory was set. I was on the right path to what? The people who were making those assumptions did not know ultimately what my life's vision looked like. And if being an employee was part of set goals. The people who were making such assumptions did not know what the actual inside life looked like. They were watching from the outside and assuming that, I had it all figured out and I was throwing out a good life just for marriage. Oh, not again, not another woman giving up her life for marriage. Marriage takes away a woman's life, this, and the third. Am I saying that those things are not real? Yeah. But people assumed with other people's facts that was the motivation behind me leaving my job. As if. Nobody knew the mental trade-offs that I was no longer ready to give. Nobody knew how I wasn't growing in the fancy job. That instead of me to be growing mentally, professionally, I was depreciating. Nobody knew that I had to make a choice between having money and growing professionally, having professional fulfillment. Nobody knew that I chose growth because growth was no longer working. It looked like I was growing on the job from the outside. That is why, depending on the ruler you're using to measure success is different for all of us. For some of us, they're just okay having a fancy job with a fat salary, and that's success for them. But not me. Not me. The career fulfillment has to be there. The value has to be there. If I don't feel like I'm bringing value, then I'm wasting my life. I'm not living the life I want to live. I lost touch. Of course, that job took a serious jab at my confidence. I lost my voice. I lost my confidence. I lost touch with myself. I needed to be away from all of those settings because it wasn't in the long run. I had to take stock of my life and make a major decision for myself. To say, no, if I stay here in the next 10 years, who will I be? Do I want to be this person? Or do I want to do something with my life right now? Do I want to choose my law, or do I want to choose money? And I chose my law. I had to take stock of my life and ask myself, what does my dream life look like? And why don't I actively start trying to make that life happen for me right now? And the husband who people thought was the monster trying to draw me away from my dream life was the support system that I am grateful to God that I have, to be able to take such a bold move, to go after my dreams, to go after my satisfaction. That was the support I could lean on to go after what really I wanted ultimately in the long run, that I wasn't getting in the fancy job with the golden cup. Yeah, I had to choose between looking successful and actually becoming successful. And I wanted to be successful. I didn't want to look like I was successful. I wanted to be successful. There's so many layers to that decision. But ultimately, people judged a chapter of my life that they never read. And in fact, this brings me to another arm of this conversation about depending, or financial dependency, or even emotional, whatever sort of dependency on the spouse that you chose as your life partner, being equal to being a failure or losing yourself. Because you see, marriage is supposed to be a partnership. I hope we know that. And what usually happens in a partnership? What is the essence of a partnership? I know that we live in a very individualized society, and individualization is mightily and highly glorified. But might we forget that marriage is the opposite? Marriage aims ultimately for the direct opposite of individualism. Marriage is a partnership. And what happens in a partnership? One partner supports the other one when the other one is not able to meet up as per usual or perform as per usual, without allowing the entire institution to collapse. Life is lived in seasons. Are we forgetting? And essentially, marriage is saying that, oh, I choose this person to go through all of the seasons of my life. Nobody brings 100 in every season of their life. There is hardly any marriage where the both spouses are bringing 100. And when I say this, I don't mean financially alone. So what is wrong with depending on a spouse temporarily in a particular season of life? And how does that equate to failure? And that makes me begin to think seriously that if you cannot, at a point in your life, depend on the partner that you chose for yourself to do life with, maybe it's not a dependency issue. Maybe the problem is that you do not have the ability to make a good life choice. Maybe it's not a dependency issue. Maybe the problem is your ability to choose a right partner. Because think about what marriage is supposed to be. If you cannot be in a season where you are you can take some financial blows, but with the hope that you are married to someone that can cover for you in those seasons, and you're always supposed to be on guard financially, so they don't put. Maybe the issue is not financial dependency. The issue here is that you did not marry well. Maybe the issue here is that you are married to your own enemy. And maybe you are pointing fingers because you are projecting. Yeah. Oh yes, that's right. You are probably projecting because you married the wrong person. So you assume that this is how it works in every marriage around you. Because it seems you don't understand that marriage is a partnership that grows through seasons. So for instance, a husband can be taking care of a wife in the first 10 years of the marriage, only for the wife to be the one supporting the husband in the next 5 years, subsequent 5 years after the first 10 years, until the husband bounces back and they become equal contributors. I don't think you understand that life works. I don't think you understand that the husband could be taking care of a wife in the first 20 years of the marriage, only for him to have a sickness that reduces him to a vegetable and the woman begins to support. And so, in that scenario, the man has failed. I think we need to go back to our drawing board because I think we've lost touch. We've lost touch with the concept, at the core of it, the basic concept of marriage. And that's why we always sit down, we're throwing fingers and we're talking everything else. We're missing the point. If you cannot trust who you married, if you cannot be financially vulnerable for a season with the person that you married, maybe the problem is the decision-making tactics that you have, and not the temporary financial dependency issue that we are talking about. And this leads me to my point to say, can we stop trying to rescue people who do not need to be rescued? Can we stop seeing every woman who is a housewife as someone who needs to be rescued? I am aware that there are people who maybe knew better, had better options and threw their lives away. But I'm saying that there are people who you feel need rescuing, who do not need rescuing, who are absolutely fine with they are fully aware and they're absolutely happy with the life that they've chosen. Not everybody wants to be on Forbes list. Not everybody wants executive titles, multiple businesses, to be in the constant hustling, shuffling from flight to flight, country to country, going here, standing on this data. Not everybody. This is amazing, but there are people who just want peace, children, family. Some people are just okay to have enough money to just go for vacation here and there, provide for whatever it is the family needs, and be healthy. That's all they want. They just want peace. And that's okay. Success is personal. Who decided that success must look the same for everyone? Why do we insist on using one ruler to measure everybody? Why must everybody's dreams look alike? Because at the end of the day, success should be measured against your own values, against your own life vision, against what you envision that life should look like in an ideal setting, not what other people are doing, not someone else's definition of success. There are people who are doing things that they feel that is what they are meant to be doing, not what they want to do deep down. Many of us are living borrowed lives because we don't have the balls to choose ourselves. You come and say, choose you again and again and again and again. Do you know what choosing you really means? Listening to yourself deep down, what it is that you truly believe that your life should look like, and going after that and not letting anybody's opinion about that stop you from doing that. I know that social media, rewards lives that are loud, exceptional, have accolades, constantly evolving, constantly saying please to announce something, constantly giving one award or looking like they're upgrading. But the truth is that many deeply fulfilling lives are very quiet. They don't go viral, they don't make headlines. Yet, they are full of love, they are full of peace, they are full of purpose, they are full of intentional choices and living. At the end of the day, success is not a one-size-fits-all, and that is why we must learn as individuals to live and let live. Do you and let others do them. You can warn people of serious dangers that you feel that this is a danger without mocking their life choices, without trying to bedevil whatever it is they've chosen to do, without shaming them for living their own reality and focusing on their own life choices, accepting people around you and knowing that we cannot all live the same lives. We cannot all go the same places. We cannot all. It's not possible. Variety is the spice of life. Because in the end, your life doesn't have to look exciting to other people for it to be fulfilling for you. It doesn't have to make sense to strangers for it to make sense to you. At the end of the day, whatever choices that you choose to make and whatever path you choose to follow in life, you are the one that is going to have to live with that life. Not your friends, not your relatives, not the comment section. You. Until I come your way next time, like this video, share it, and subscribe if you're yet to. See you in my next one. Bye bye.